Welcome to Rebels in Review. I'm of course Thor Skywalker, and with this video I'll be giving my thoughts and opinions on the two-part Season 3 finale of Rebels 0 Hour. Obviously there will be spoilers for the episode, so if you haven't seen it yet, go check it out first and then come back and watch this. And with that out of the way, let's jump right into it. Now, I did make some bold predictions for this episode before it came out, mainly that a Ghost crew member would die, that being Zeb, and unfortunately, or fortunately if you're a fan of his, that didn't happen. So once again, the Ghost crew, on a personal level, did not have to suffer a loss, and have yet to really suffer a loss on that kind of level. You could argue that last season's finale dealt a blow to the crew when they lost Ahsoka, but even though most of us fans love her, and losing her in the show was a blow to us, and to Kanan, Ezra, and Rex of course, she never did become a real part of the crew. Now sure, the rebellion itself did take a major hit, and we did get to see Thrawn get a huge victory over them, which was something I was very much hoping for and happy with. I thought the rebels had to lose the Battle of Lothal for continuity's sake, again keeping in mind their very first victory was the Battle of Scarif seen in Rogue One, and we know that thanks to the opening crawl of Episode 4. I thought it was great that the Battle of Lothal never actually even took place because Thrawn got to them first, and I was happy that Thrawn did not die in this episode, which I was terrified he might, because that would have been such a waste to kill him off here. I think this character needs to continue to be a threat up to the end of this show. Overall, I liked this episode, but it certainly couldn't match last season's finale, Twilight of the Apprentice, and it didn't even match last week's episode, Twin Suns, and I dare say it was maybe the 4th or 5th best episode of the season overall. My biggest problem with it is that it didn't get me hyped for next season, again like last season's finale did by having that perfect and beautiful ending of Ezra opening up the Sith holocron and left us all wondering what that meant for his future. And that's really kind of the problem with the show currently. I'm not wondering about Ezra's future anymore. This season teased him going dark side early, and now with the death of Maul, I feel like that's been completely dealt with. It's no longer even a possibility for him. Several people in my prediction video for this episode guessed that maybe Kanan would die, and at first I didn't think that would be possible, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized that was a great idea. Something again needs to happen that shakes up Ezra's world. I know he's not a lot of people's favorite character, but he is the main character of this show. This is his story. And when Kanan said in this episode that he has nothing left to teach him, I almost thought it was the show's way of telling us to get ready, because Kanan was indeed going to die here, and Ezra really was going to have to learn on his own from this point on. Something else I was kind of mixed about on this episode was the Bendu. I have loved and been a big fan of this character all season long, but I wasn't sure I liked the idea that Kanan could get him so worked up that he'd have an outburst like he did. I was happy that he was at least indiscriminate, that he was killing both rebels and Imperials, but I would have preferred that no matter what Kanan did or said, he would have stuck to his principles and not gotten involved. The Bendu, whatever he truly is so old and wise that he cannot simply be provoked. He's above and beyond all that. Sure, it was cool to see just how powerful he is, and he leaves me wanting to know more and more about him, and I'm probably more curious about him than anyone in the Ghost crew right now, which I'm not sure is a good thing. Another thing that annoyed me just a little bit was when Thrawn ordered the bombardment to stop just before the shield fell. Now, I realized Tarkin had told Thrawn earlier in the episode that he wanted prisoners, but I'd argue there were still plenty of prisoners to be had on all those trapped ships, especially General Dodonna, who Thrawn had already assumed was aboard one of those ships. Why not just continue to fire on the shield until it fell and vaporize all the rebels underneath it and get your prisoners from those ships? Now sure, I get it, that wasn't going to happen. They weren't going to kill off a good chunk of our main characters that were underneath that shield still, and that was the reason why Tarkin was shown giving that order in the first place, to give an excuse for Thrawn to stop and to save them. And you could argue this even starts to show Thrawn's weakness, and that he didn't just want victory, he wanted it in his way, which was on a more intimate and personal level. He wanted to go down there and defeat the rebels himself, when he could have easily won had they just kept firing for another 30 seconds or so. I just wish they would have alluded to that better, if that was indeed the case, instead of again letting Thrawn make a decision that helped our heroes escape. Another thing that disappointed me just a little bit, Calais lived, which is an odd thing to say because I've grown to really like this character. He went from a cliche villain in Season 1 to having one of the best stories in the show right now. But again, I wanted the rebels to take a hit on a personal level, and for us, the audience, to take a hit on that level. Because I have a feeling I'm not the only one who's grown to love Calais. And seeing a lot of no-name rebels die and ships being destroyed doesn't invoke emotion in me, or probably you either. Especially since we know how the story will eventually end. All that being said, it will be cool to see him be a part of the rebellion next season, so I guess there's that. Though I wasn't totally satisfied with this episode, especially for a season finale, I will say that it was a fun and action-packed episode, and that the space battle looked top-notch. Just like in Clone Wars, the animation has gotten better as the seasons have gone along, and this was a beautiful episode, especially everything to do with the Bendu's transformation and his appearance as Superstorm Bendu, though I still found it a bit odd that he could be provoked like that in the first place. I was also happy that Thrawn finally got his moment, that he got his long due victory, even though he made a decision that costed them ultimate victory, though you can blame Tarkin for that. Mainly I'm just happy they didn't kill him off here and really ruin one of the best characters to come out of the EU. I'm happy that the show is feeling more and more like a part of the greater picture, that you can really see they're trying to make this line up with the original trilogy and Rogue One in particular, and they've promised to do more of this going forward, which is awesome. It is great to see the struggles of the early rebellion, and I would like to see more defeat and suffering for the early rebellion in the future, making their ultimate victory even sweeter. But that also sort of leads to my biggest problem with this episode, that the Ghost Crew came out unscathed and that there was no personal growth shown here, no type of cliffhanger for any of our characters that leaves us desperately waiting for the next season. Well, that's all I got for you this time. Now it's your turn to tell me what you think. Did you love this episode, hate it, or were you somewhere in the middle about it like I was? Let me know in the comments below and let's talk some Star Wars Rebels. Also, please subscribe to my channel or check out some of my other videos. If you've already subscribed, then thanks for your continued support. If you want to know when I upload new videos, then hit the notification button or just follow me on Twitter. And as always, thanks for watching.